What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video. This is of course a series where I focus on a specific director and rank that specific director's work from worst to best. I've done such directors as David Lynch, Wes Anderson, Paul Thomas Anderson. The list goes on. You can check that down below in the playlist. But guys, you clicked on the video, you know this time around I'm focusing on Matthew Vaughn's films ranked worst to best. Now, as of right now, he's done 6 movies, and so I'm going to rank it with 6 being his worst and 1 being his best. And of course, my opinion. So very curious to hear your guys' thoughts, but guys, all that exposition aside, let's get started. So, kicking right off with my number 6 is actually the movie that I saw to complete his filmography finally, recently, and that is Stardust. Stardust I was looking forward to. I always kind of pushed off for the longest time, I don't know, just because. It's not bad, it's just kind of like middle of the road. I think it's his weakest work, mostly because his style isn't really to be found in this movie. I feel like this is a movie that any director could have made. There's not really like that vision that, you know, later on in his work there might have been. The performances are fun for sure, some of the special effects are solid. I wasn't the biggest fan of that, and that's why it's my number 6. My number 5 is Kingsman, The Golden Circle. So Kingsman, The Golden Circle is the sequel to Kingsman, and I think this movie is, I remember seeing it in theaters about 3 years ago actually now, kind of crazy. It's stylistic, the style, you know, is pretty cool. The performances are a lot of fun. The movie itself is a lot of fun. I mean, there's a pretty cool cameo of like Elton John. But again, the story is just kind of like, gone is the twists and turns of like the original, and I mean, it's pretty cookie cutter, unfortunately. It follows a formula, it sticks to it. If you're fine with that formula and enjoy it, you'll probably love this movie. I personally thought it was just, it's whatever. So that's my number 5. My number 4 is a movie that most people probably will have as their number 1, but I have it as my number 4. Number 4 is Layer Cake. This is a rock solid movie. I don't love it. I respect it. I think that with what it does with the conventions of the genre, I think it does kind of topple on its head sometimes. Daniel Craig is really good in this movie. This is definitely the performance that people were watching say, hey, this guy could be a good James Bond, because he has that suave, you know, nature about him in this movie. And truth be told, again, this movie is fun to be had. I don't love it the way a lot of people do, but I do think it's solid and, you know, well crafted for the most part. So my number 3 is Kingsman, The Secret Service. This movie was a breath of fresh air in 2015 when it came out. I personally really liked it when I saw it in theaters, and then I rewatched it several months after it first came out, and I didn't enjoy it as much. I respect it. I think it's solidly crafted. I think that the entertainment value is definitely there. Performances are a lot of fun. Action scenes are well choreographed. Score is good. I just think, again, when you rewatch it, it's like, yeah, you have that very well choreographed church scene. But besides that, there is a lot of conventional things that when you throw out the twists and turns that are, you know, obviously such a surprise the first time, it doesn't hold up as well as you might think. I think it's solid. I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't enjoy it, but I'm not going to sit here and say it's his best work in my opinion. But I do, again, like it a lot compared to his other work especially. So that's my number 3. My number 2 is X-Men First Class. I like X-Men First Class. I think X-Men First Class really grew on me because I remember when I first saw it, I thought it was just okay, and then over the years I've rewatched it a couple of times since then. I really like it. I like the montage sequence of, like, you know, them training and everything. I like the score. I like the acting. The story is very intriguing. I think it's one of the few prequels that actually really works. I do think that some of the special effects could have been a little bit better, but again, keep in mind that the budget was a little bit less than the other X-Men movies, so, which is kind of ironic. It's like, wait a minute, this is an X-Men movie, and I guess you don't really trust it because it's a prequel. But in terms of, you know, quality, it is a quality-made movie, and definitely one of the better superhero movies to come out that year. But yeah, that's why it's my number 2. So now my number 1 is Kick. Now the thing with Kick is that it's a very entertaining movie. This is a movie that is easily Matthew Vaughn's best movie in my personal opinion. I think it's very effective. I think even if you're not a fan of superhero movies, you can still find enjoyment to be had because the comedy really works. The dramatic beats also really, really are effective. I love the performances. I know I'm always talking about how consistently every single one of his movies have had, you know, fun, entertaining acting, but There's something about this movie where it takes everything to the next level. I mean, you have Mark Strong, you have Nicolas Cage giving it his all. You know, Aaron Taylor Johnson. This was, you know, obviously before he was like kind of like, oh, he's kind of like of an actor. He was good in this. I think it's a very well-made movie, and I do think it's a movie that, again, anyone can really watch, as long as you're able to look past the fact that there's a little girl extracting violence onto others, and at the same time, you know, getting violence onto her. If you can look past that, I think you'll really enjoy this movie. It's very gleefully violent. It's subverting the cliches and the expectations of the genre, and unlike Kingsman: Secret Service, this one actually holds up upon multiple viewings. That's why I own it on Blu-ray. I always like to talk about my thoughts on like the director of each, you know, director ranking video that I do, and Matthew Vaughn's no exception. So I'm going to talk about him now. Matthew Vaughn's not a great director. He's not even a good director. I think he's a solid director. He has his own style, his own flair. They remind me a lot of like James Bond movies from like the 1960s and 70s, which is fine. It's his own style, and I think that that's cool because it's like, okay, when you watch a Matthew Vaughn movie, you know what you're expecting. You know, you're expecting comedy, you're expecting plots to be like something from like an old James Bond movie. In terms of rewatchability value, I do think some of his movies don't really have that, but I do think his number 1 and 2 definitely have that, which is really good. I think he's a director that once he adds more movies to his resume, I mean, who knows, maybe he'll add, you know, like a movie that's even better than number 1. I am curious, though, to hear your guys' thoughts on Matthew Vaughn's movies. Again, I know he's only done 6, but nonetheless, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on Matthew Vaughn. Also, stay tuned. I'll be doing other director ranking lists. They'll be coming out soon. Still working my way up through some of the bigger directors, but yeah, guys, that's my ranking of Matthew Vaughn's movies from worst to best. Let me know yours in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget the subscription, notification bell, and all that. Catch you guys later.